Hi y'all, it's Franco. Earlier this year, legendary game designer and trans activist Janelle Jaquays passed away. A group of independent RPG creators banded together to create a mega dungeon as a fundraiser, honoring her contributions to TTRPGs. Proceeds from the fundraiser will help her family cover medical expenses, and retail sales will benefit Trans Lifeline. Return to Parenthos is a mega dungeon with over 80 levels written by volunteer RPG creators, including myself. It will include a setting written by Luke Gearing and a previously unpublished Q&A with Janelle. You can back it on Crowdfunder now to get a copy of the book and or the PDF. Info on how to contribute in other ways, such as art and editing, is also available on the Crowdfunder site. The site is crowdfunder.com/parenthos, PERINTHOS, and Crowdfunder is spelled without the E. The link is also available in our Instagram story and on our Discord. Thank you. All right, so this will just be like real softball questions.
Okay.
Like, don't worry about it.
Oh God.
You know, it's like don't. It's silly. Yeah, just don't. Okay. All right. Hi everybody. Welcome to Tabletopped. Tabletopped?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Let me do that again.
Uh-huh.
Hi everybody. Welcome to Tabletop, where we talked about the tops of tables. No legs allowed. I'm here with the host and creator of Tabletop, Nick. Nick, first off, what's your favorite table?
My favorite table? I like mahogany, like a rosewood mahogany.
Okay. All right. Second question. What was your favorite episode this year, and why isn't it one that I'm in?
Okay, let me think. I think that my favorite episode actually was between the two that we put up in December, which was the Pantheons episode, which I like just because you guys just destroyed me and like how stupid I was.
Pretty popular
and
with me personally.
The other one is the ethereal nature of memory, which we've been making fun of you for since.
Great. All right, yeah, those are fun. Those are also my favorite, I think. What kind of sessions are your favorite?
Oh, like TTRPG or podcast?
No, TTRPG.
Yeah. I think that one of my favorite sessions, they're always, if I'm GMing, it's like Candle Cove essentially, where I can have my group feel like we're fucking getting this, and then like shaking with like excitement. Like that's my favorite. Just like watching people put pieces together. That's why I think I run so many mysteries. Mm-hmm. But as a player, recently I think one of my favorite things I've done in a while was our last Waterdeep game, where I felt like a genius because I was putting everything together, and I was like, this fuck, and then Shay was giving me so much shit, and it just led to everyone just like having this like really fun, like as players we were all like smiling and be like, oh my God, this is happening, and then as characters we were just all yelling at each other.
It's pretty chaotic.
Yeah, it was chaotic, but those are my favorite sessions.
All right. What piece of non-manga or non-anime media inspires you right now? One that you might use as inspiration for an adventure or campaign?
That's paradoxical. Everything is anime.
All right, then I guess, yeah.
Let's see. Honestly, I think I've been talking about this lately, but I want to try to run a non-dark, bleak campaign or like session, so maybe Gilmore Girls.
Oh my God!
Like really, just
I would play the fuck out of a Gilmore Girls campaign. Are you kidding me?
Just like make a really like Stars Hollow-esque town,
Holy
and
shit.
then just like have the session or sessions be run out of that in a sort of like heartwarming kind of way. I think that would be so fun and also a real challenge for me.
I feel like that could be a really that would be like a Powered by the Apocalypse like framework. There's a game called Pasión de los Pasiones, which is like or Las Pasiones, which is like basically a Spanish soap opera.
Okay.
Telenovela
kind
game.
of thing.
It's a telenovela game. I listened to an actual play of it. It was very fun. Like it sounds really fun, and basically everything's just like tropey, and like you get. I think it's mostly like. Like Monster Hearts engine using like strings and stuff like that.
Yes.
And then like or conditions and stuff, where you're like frazzled or you're you're
kind of like thirsty sword lesbians as
yes,
well.
Exactly.
They do that too.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
I think it would be so fun, and also like it would allow one of my favorite things is to just play weird NPCs, and it would allow me to do a lot of that.
Have you heard of I forget Yaziba's Bed and Breakfast? It's kind
I've
of like
heard of this, yeah.
Like everybody takes ownership of every character.
Yes.
So it kind of like trades around. So everybody gets to be, Taylor or Lorelai or Rory or Luke beating up a teenager.
And the thing is more like surrounding a location, right? And all of the people who come in and out of that location.
Yes, it's like one specific place.
Yeah.
Every character's already like created and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, like, I don't want to play that. And it's like, it's not for you. And then just play something else. It's fine. It's all games, game.
Yep.
All right. On that sort of soft
boy note.
Yeah. Do you regret allowing me to let my character Gamaldus die in one hit?
I feel so bad about it. I didn't mean to kill the little dormouse.
All right. Do you want to apologize to me in front of God and everyone?
Franco, I apologize.
I reject your apology because I wanted him to go because that was rules as written, and everybody knows that.
And the rules are the only thing.
The rules are the only thing that matter. All right. On December 26, 12:58 Eastern Standard Time, you asked for advice on setting up a campaign for D&D 5e so you could run a game for people who have never played TTRPGs before.
Yeah.
Why did you choose 5e to introduce these people to TTRPGs instead of any number of other RPGs that we have played and talked about on this very show? Why are you a Hasbro apologist? And do you want to face to camera and publicly apologize to Mike Sands, creator of Monster of the Week?
Mike, I'm so sorry. To be fair, the second thing I ran for them was a Monster of the Week.
Oh, okay.
But I will say the thing is that two of the players had never played before, and I don't think I could have gotten them in the TTRPG door without D&D. They were like,
wild.
Yeah, they were like, I want to play D&D. I've heard of D&D. I want to play the D and the Ds.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Which I felt was, again, like you and I think, the others aren't in the room. We can really talk some mad shit. We both have huge problems with D&D.
Yeah.
I actually have found that I only enjoy like 20% of the time that I am playing D&D as compared to other TTRPGs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it is never my first choice.
Yeah.
So it's just like hard. I find it really hard. Their marketing is good. Like it's really hard to get people into something that's not D&D these days. Though I think that is changing, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I think it's so difficult. It is such a weird thing, isn't it? Because you're just like you're getting them into the door, and you're basically just getting them into the door using this rule set so that you can have them play pretend.
Yeah, and here's the thing too: is like you've played,
get comfortable with playing pretend.
Yeah, and you've played with me before. I don't know 50% of D&D.
Yeah, you're always trying to climb on monsters. The fuck? You can't do that.
I detest the level of granularity at which the D&D rule set goes
into. It's like, oh, well, you're technically prone. Like, prone is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, prone is nothing.
Yeah,
like, prone is like, oh, I have to use half my movement to get up. Like who
what
cares?
does that mean? Like, does half the movement vertical is 15 feet of movement?
Yeah, like, why did they calculate it that way? It's very stupid.
So
it's a stupid game.
Yeah, so I just found it like when I play, I am actually playing what most what most actual plays do, which is like a really rules light version of D&D. And so in that way, it's like not really even preparing them to play D&D with anyone else because it's going to be completely different. But it's the best way I can get people to play TTRPGs with me. So,
all right. I think this question. All right. The first year of Tabletop famously featured interviews with two doctors, Dr. Moya McTeer, host of Exolore podcast, and Dr. Emily Zarka, host of PBS's Monstrum. This past year, you only interviewed one doctor.
That's not true.
It's not true?
We got two.
You got two? Okay.
Do your fucking research, Franco.
All right. Well, would you say that Tabletopped, do you think that doctors are the only types of people you can learn things from?
Yes, that is unequivocally true. No, I think that honestly, we talked with Dr. Rachel Cowart and
Dr. Emily Friedman.
Yes, and Both of them were incredibly knowledgeable about their topic. But one thing that I think I really enjoy talking with like your average designer or something is that they're not so focused on one specific topic. Like Moya McTeer is an incredible scientific mind and approaches world building in a really cool, unique way. But her basis is in science. So if I was to go to her and say like, hey, I really want to hear about what your thoughts are on like a like the variance of a D20 versus a 2D6 system, she might be like, how does this relate to like the cosmos? Like I don't
mean, maybe, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess if you're like specialized in a field, you're more thinking about that field. Not to say that people can't have like other
obviously,
like a breadth of interest, but yeah, there's something about like the hobbyistness that is very like, I know a smattering of things, and obviously that can lead to problems too, though, because you're kind of ignorant of so many things.
Totally,
and you're like, oh wow, I have a lot of biases that I didn't think about.
Yeah, and that's why I really like the variance in which we have our guests. Like I think that Dr. Friedman had like such an interesting viewpoint on actual plays as one of like the trailblazers of that sort of like field of study, and had like a kind of completely different view on the industry than I had really thought about. But she sort of approached it from like almost like a Hollywood angle, and I've always came at it from a hobbyist angle. So that's like a completely different worldview, which was really cool and interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Okay. Well, next question. Did your opinions evolve over the year? And by that, I mean, did I change your mind?
You have, Franco. So this is a really interesting question, actually. Like, it is a good question because we usually come at a lot of topics, like our instincts are at different ends of the spectrum. But I often find myself being pulled more towards your end by the end of our conversations, which is, I think, a good thing.
Maybe you're just really gullible.
Just persuadable.
Because I am very impressionable, actually. Yeah. I am incredibly impressionable. Like, anybody can tell me anything.
It's like the last person who talked to you is like, oh, man, they were right.
Not going to lie.
No, but I just think that, like, specifically around, like, tables and stuff like that,
Mahogany.
Yeah, exactly. No, but, like, randomized tables.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, going into this year, would never use one.
Yeah.
I would think that I was like, these suck. I hate them.
Oh, like that guy on the
exactly.
from the tweet.
But by the time that we had read that, I was like, that guy's an idiot. And I use them all the time. Like in Humblewood, I was like, all the rewards you guys got were rolled off tables. Yeah. And all of the, like, a lot of the things that happened through that was me just kind of like doing a quick roll to see how something happens. Or one of my favorites is when rolling an NPC I didn't expect to talk as or whatever, is to roll on a mood chart or whatever, like a disposition chart, and just kind of see what their general vibe is.
That's old school shit.
Which is great because then it allows you to have like sometimes a more alive world. Like, there's like a badger in town who's just a fucking asshole and it's just going to be mean to you, and there's not really anything you did to this badger, but then like you go into the tailor shop and he's grumpy but he's got a heart of gold.
Right. He donates to the badger church or whatever.
So I just think that like there are a lot of things I have changed my mind on, though I think you were completely wrong on other things.
Wait, like what?
Like, I don't know, I find you so it's just like impossible to me to not consider greater story when going into a campaign.
Oh, yeah.
And like we were recording something today where you were like, I never do any of this. And I was like, how do you not do any of this?
I didn't even do that with the Argot campaign, which ended up having like
a pretty good
technically
arc.
It has an arc, and it's, I don't know, it's just kind of like, I think even with that campaign, I didn't really go into it thinking about like, you know, there's a story arc, even though it turned out there was just because the bad guy had a plan.
Yeah.
And I think that's like kind of the thing that I'm doing with my current campaign that I'm running, where there's bad guys with plans, there's factions, and I have them like sort of like I roll and if it lands on a 5 and 6, they progress their next goal.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of like how the factions are moving and grooving like with the world, so that the players are like constantly meeting new threats and bigger threats.
Yeah.
And that that sort of comes, there's like this like, tenet of like sort of emergent storytelling where like it's coming out of like the conflicts and the things that the players actually want to do.
Yeah.
And so like super narratively, I guess it's sort of like, well, the story is just the world, and then the story that comes out of it is just what the players want to do.
Yeah, there's a type of directing. So in theater, there's like a lot of different styles of directing, but I just feel like we're different directors in the same art form. Where like I am very much like your motivation and like what's going on here and blah blah blah, and you're just like I'm going to set up the launch pad, and then you guys are going to go. But if we get the takeoff right, you're just going to have like a good scene because we've set up the world correctly. Yeah. And so I feel as though like they're both like very good ways of going about it. They're just sort of like opposed.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I can kind of see, like, it's so weird that you say that to me because Candle Cove feels like such a sandbox. There's no, like, do you think of that as a game that has it's a thing that I think of as a sandbox. It's just like a little mystery. Yeah. And then do you think of that as having a story arc? Like, would you categorize that as one of your...
So this is an interesting thing is that this is my first time building a sort of module that can be played multiple times and sort of as a standalone thing. So yes, it is a sandbox, but every time I have played with people, I have like little notes about their characters, and I have immediately incorporated parts of them and their backstories into the world, and have tried to also have character arcs throughout the stories as well.
Yeah.
Like you and Steven, when you played, you kind of ended that ready for another
totally.
thing, right? It set up another story, even though that's not part of Candle Cove.
Yeah.
And so like I put that stuff into it, but I get what you're saying as well of like that is just the world that people are interacting with, and then the story is emergent from there.
Right. And I guess it's interesting. So like the only thing that I probably would do to modify my playstyle to become more like your DMing playstyle would be just focusing on the character backstories and try to bring more and more of that into them.
Yeah.
Which would be cool. But I think is totally something that I would do.
Yeah, totally. And the thing that like I always really want to take from yours is like having a firmer, like honestly, Candle Cove was me trying to set up more of like a Franco-esque sandbox.
Oh, okay.
in that I was like, I want to know what's happening in this the square footage of this town, and I know everything that's there, and then I just want people to fuck around with it.
Yeah.
And which is like very much how you approach your setting up your games, and it's been one of my more successful ones. Whereas,
I mean, I think that's even like just a really nice way to set up a mystery.
Yeah,
in general.
totally. Yeah, because then it's like these are happening. We both love. I think that the thing where we're closer than we think when we DM is like we both really love that. The clock of what is progressing, because that is how I live my life when I'm running something, because you have to have the clock or else nothing makes sense.
Yeah, you have to have the clock, otherwise nothing matters. Yeah. Because the when you're playing with the game, you're playing with time as well, and I think that's something that you usually lose in 5e at least, like where it's like time doesn't really matter. You just kind of do the next thing, and like that time pressure is like a really nice lever that you can pull on.
Yeah.
I like to invent TTRPGs, as you know. Would you ever invent your own, or are you a coward?
I am a coward. I don't know if I'm a coward. I am lazy. I feel like the level of work that...
But you can make your Gilmore Girls one.
Yeah, I would love to do that. But the thing is...
Just to come up with the moves.
Yeah, you are so good at making mechanics, and I am not...
I must tell you, I am good at taking things from other people that I have read.
Like, I think that, though, is like... I don't know if I have as deep a mechanical understanding as I would need. I'm a little self-conscious about that, and so I'd be a little worried about making my own thing. But then going back to what you said about stealing from like just like the plethora of amazing games out there, is that probably someone has already made the thing that I want to run for a specific story, and I just need to find it. And that's also like its own a little time pit. But like I think Game Master Monday specifically has really inspired me to be like, no, I'm going to find the right system for the right game, because like when you were talking about Fumblewood, I was like so interested in that idea, and I was like, how would I do this in like a Powered by the Apocalypse, or how would I do this in this? But there is a game that's like specifically for like anime sports stories, that you could just run it in that, and it's just I want to be the change I want to see in the world, which is moving away from putting everything through D&D.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Yeah. I mean D&D, not even an option.
Yeah.
It's never the first thing.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you like to get better at when running a game? We all have ideas if you can't think of anything.
Okay, so I would love to hear the ideas, but the
That's
thing,
a joke.
Yeah, totally. But the thing for me that I really want to get better at is being more consistent and saying. This is like a weird thing to say, but like always saying true things. Like I always feel like I mess up a little bit, and I give information either that they shouldn't know, or I give information that's kind of wrong so that they
misleading.
Yeah, or misleading or something. And I'm just like, man, it's just because I'm not being specific, and a lot of that comes with like prep and things like that. Yeah. And I would like to get better at that because it just kind of ruins like a cool moment when I'm like, I mean, no, that's not a dog, that's a cat.
Yeah, I think that's happened to me a little bit before too.
Yeah.
I think I might want to get better at trying to get maybe a little bit more story back into my game.
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
So
just
like,
a little bit.
If I can dig in a little bit about that, I know I'm the one being interviewed, but is that because you want to run a longer story arc campaign, or is it that you just want to add more story elements or like fiction, like building elements into a game that you are already running?
I want to. The game that I'm currently running, I would prefer to not run 5e anymore. And so I want to get away from it.
Okay.
But since this is a 5e campaign and I want to end it at some point,
right.
I want it to end in a satisfying way. And I don't want the players to feel, and myself to feel like we've like missed out on something or whatever, or they haven't explored every single square hexagon inch of the map.
This is, I really relate to that. The only time I've ever seen someone kind of successfully end a campaign without like a really strong conclusion, and I should say it hasn't quite finished yet, so I'm going to see how the plane lands. But this high lethality game I'm playing is very much, we are not in a moment within the timeline of this world, which is a moment of change. Like we are just living through like a non-epic moment, a non-inflection point. And so the game is going to end and it's going to be like, and then the world kind of continues on. Have you ever read Naomi Novik books?
Yeah, I read the one where with the tower and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I read that one, and then I think that's the only one I read.
Yeah, but she does.
Oh wait, sorry, the Skullomance.
Yeah, Skullomance as well. She does this really cool thing with the endings of her books.
Yeah, we were talking about that before,
which I really like, and I would like to be able to bring a campaign to a close like that. Like
bringing it to a close where it feels like it's not like happily ever after. It's not like a tightly little bow. It's more like, okay, it ends. We're done talking to them, but they still have more things to do.
Exactly. Like it's not, Luke Skywalker getting like the medal at the end of the movie. It is. This is one part of their life, but they are going to live a full life after this. Yeah,
I think the way that I ended Argot is actually pretty tidy. Like you guys don't have, it's not like, oh yeah, and you guys are going to continue to do this and you guys are going to continue to do that. It's not I'm not telling it in the past perfect tense. Yeah. Just telling it in the past, like a definite past tense or something, where it's like, okay, they're done. Abraham lives in a dock. I guess Livius is constantly trying to resurrect Natalia and bringing her out of hell.
And Natalia is fighting in the blood war forever.
Yeah, but the little tag that I put on the end for Natalia was like she found something that is jogging her memory, and then that's more of a sequel thing rather than like they're continuing on and we're never going to revisit it.
Yeah. I could see, but the thing also is like, I as a player was very happy with that ending. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think I have to play this character ever again if the chance doesn't come up. Like this is wrapped up. And I kind of like ambiguous endings in some way. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's my answer.
Okay. All right, final question. Are the rumors true that Hasbro is looking to acquire Tabletopped? If not, how would you like to see Tabletopped evolve? And if so, how long before they lay us off?
Here's the thing, Franco, is that we have been approached by Hasbro, but they have made a couple requests around the structure of the podcast, specifically staffing. And so there is a couple of things that I have to talk to you all about. No. I would never sell out to Hasbro. Anyone else? Yes. What would I like to see? I would really like to see, like last year, I really was like, I want the quality of the podcast, like the audio and the structure of the pods to get better. And I think that we achieved that. We started doing outlines. We started really taking care with how we were recording and our recording technique. And I think it really shows. The thing I really want in the next year is to sort of like broaden how we broaden the empire. Like, in the Patreon, we're starting to do Wild Magic, which I think will just broaden and allow people to just kind of hear us talk about who we are instead of just TTRPGs. I also really like, we have all been talking about making modules and like dropping in. And I would love like a publishing arm eventually to come out to allow people to be able to publish through us, or that we publish our modules either through the Patreon or in other ways. And the big thing that I really actually want to focus on is to start reviewing and putting a spotlight on independent creators and TTRPGs, because while we do talk a lot about like topics and GMing techniques and everything, which I think is still going to be a core part of the podcast, I would really love to be like, I still have not played Morkborg, and I would love to play it and then tell people about it so that they can feel like they can interact with non-D&D games as well. So that's where I really want to see stuff kind of go in the future, is like having a little bit more of that indie cred, I guess. Yeah. But what about you, actually? Because like you've been here.
I think that.
I think that like we have never reviewed Cairn yet, and I really want to do that. Like, there's a lot of things that I want to just put a spotlight on, and I think that we can do it in the next year.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. All right, and that's I never end the show, so I don't actually know how to do it. Thanks for listening to Tabletop. You can send us questions and stuff like that, and at tabletop.pod.com. Use the contact form to ask us questions, and we'll answer them on air. Or, you know, we don't have to answer them on air if you're too shy or whatever.
Yeah, you don't have to put your name.
You don't have to put your name. Yeah, don't put your name on it. Yeah, or you can. And then we also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Tabletopped. Tabletopped. Nice. Okay, you knew it. And where we release an episode every month called Wild Magic, where we do some funny stuff. There's a couple episodes on there already. And you can check that out. And then we also put like modules on there sometimes. We put other stuff on there sometimes.
And perhaps even a new podcast called Gilmore Guys.
Gilmore Guys, yeah. It's what everyone needs. It's two guys talking about Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's thank you for doing the interview, Franco. This
welcome.
Has been great. I love these questions as accusatory as they have been.
I told you they were gotcha questions.
I love it.
All right. Okay, bye.
Peace.